Summer is about to sizzle.
Join Morning Live as we follow the sun this holiday season.
We'll share with you some of the hot tourism spots
and celebrate the sunny side of summer holidays in South Africa.
Join us from the 30th of November
as we hit the road
to follow the sun.
What better way to kickstart Morning Live's Follow the Sun holiday season campaign than at the Constitution Hill in Johannesburg, where my colleague Sakina Kamwendo will be chasing the sun, and we crossed over to her. A very good morning to you, Sakina. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you chasing the sun already?
Well, good morning, Simply. Indeed we are, and as if right on cue, some rays of the sun actually just broke through here. And of course, this is our summer campaign here on Morning Live on SABC. We'll be following the sun all the summer, and of course we're going to take you around the country, some sights, some sounds, because this beautiful country is worth seeing. But we're going to start right here in the city of gold in Johannesburg and follow various routes. We're going to hop onto the red bus, but before we do that, we're coming to you right now from Constitution Hill, and this is a site that is filled with history and well worth a visit. If you haven't been, this is somewhere you really should come to. There's so much to see. There's so much to learn about in the city of gold. And we're going to take you to some of those sites. So let's start here at Constitution Hill. Dawn Robertson joins me. Dawn, always a pleasure to see you. So we're back here. But perhaps for those who haven't been to Constitution Hill, let's just give them a little bit of a background as to the importance of this site.
So Constitution Hill is a living museum. And when I say a living museum, I mean we've got 3-4 museums, if you want to break up all the various prisons we have on site. It's a site of incarceration, a historical site of incarceration, but it's also home to our Constitution Hill, that's Constitution Court, that's in the background. So it's a heritage site. We've got the old fort here, the women's jail, the number 4 prison, the Constitutional Court. We're standing here today on what we call Constitution Square, which used to house the waiting trial block. So, you know, the treason trial prisoners were all held on the spot. We still have the towers behind us, which are the only remaining parts of the waiting trial block. And the rest of the bricks were used to build our Constitution Court that's in the background. But when I say it's a living museum, it's not just about the past. Every day in that Constitutional Court behind us, we're making history. And Constitution Hill is built on 2 pillars. That of justice, and the other one is art. So on the site you will see loads of sculptures. We've got a new building coming up which is going to include a whole lot of new artworks. But at the bottom of the site, which is 27 acres of site of here, we also have a creative hub, and our creative hub houses 63 small creative businesses at the moment. It's got things like makers spaces, residency spaces, and we're officially opening that next week. So when people come to the site, not only do you get a glimpse at our past, our horrendous past, you see our exciting future protected by our Constitution, but you can also see what young people are doing. And particularly as we lead into 30 years of democracy, which is very important for the site. Next year we celebrate 30 years of democracy. We're embracing that in the work that we do in constitutionalism, in the work we do with the creative sector, and there's so much to see for people. And we're open throughout the summer. I think we close on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, but other than that, we're open. We've got special deals going, and people should just follow our website and see what you can do and come along, bring your family, bring your friends. And people often ask, you know, is it a place that you can take little children? Yes, it is, because up at the top at the fort we have the Children's Museum, Play Africa, and I don't think there's a better place to take little kids than to Play Africa and let them experience a whole range of things from science to history to our Constitution through play.
And of course, you know, it is a very vibrant space. I mean, I was here a couple of weeks ago, and it was to attend a function, because you have these various sites where people also come to host various activities. I think there were some young people up here in this very space, and there was something going on the other side. So there's always people moving in and out of this space.
We've been very busy for the last few weeks. Obviously, you know, half our space has been taken over by the new construction construction that is happening, which is a new museum, conference centers, coffee shops, event spaces and stuff like that. But it's a popular space for people to host events, particularly events that are focusing on the youth. So you'll see the old fort turned into some event today. There are times where you have stuff on the fort, you have stuff on the square, you have stuff in the number 4 prison happening. And the women's jail is a very important space for people for conferencing, but also for events. Yeah.
And of course, you know, just from a historical point of view, a very important space this is, as you say, number 4, you know, the old fort, the women's jail, and some very prominent historical figures have also spent time in this particular space.
Like I said, you know, the entire treason trial, people who were arrested were in the waiting trial block. But this site is the only site in the country that has housed Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela. Both of them were incarcerated twice on the site. You know, you've got Oliver Tambo, you've got even Gandhi was imprisoned in the number 4 prison. Winnie Mandela, Fatima Meer in the thing, but also the youth of 76. When they were arrested, they were brought here. So some of the youngest prisoners were actually incarcerated at Constitution Hill as well.
So there you have it, and it really is an exciting space to visit, just in terms of getting to grips with our history, our past, but also, as Dawn says, history being made every day in the building behind us, where, of course, the apex court of the land sits. And even on the walls behind us, you know, you have some very beautiful artwork there. And, of course, we can't see it at the moment, but Dawn, if you could just speak to us about what we see there.
So that is the kind of the hoarding for the new building that's going up. But what it has is pictures of some of the most important struggle women that were incarcerated in the women's jail. So there's stories of all of them that were there. But, you know, one of the things I should say is that it wasn't just political prisoners that were incarcerated at Con Hill. The bulk of the people who were incarcerated here were ordinary men and women, and children, you know, who were incarcerated or arrested just for breaking past laws, or women who were caught brewing beer to support their families. And so I think one of the things we need to remember, that it's not just a site of important political struggle heroes, but it's a site where ordinary people were incarcerated. And in fact, when you talk to people of the generation that remember it, they'll say when somebody went missing, the first place you went to was the morgue, and if they weren't in the morgue, they were in number 4, which the whole site used to be called number 4 at the time, or the fort.
And of course, it is a construction site at the moment, as Dawn says, so much more development taking place here at Constitution Hill. But I tell you what, if you haven't been, it really is worth your while to make a stop here at Constitution Hill. Some of the stories are really heartbreaking. When you go down to number 4, for example, I remember being on a tour here, and the stories that you will hear. I don't know, Dawn, if you're willing to just maybe share some, you know, of what people will experience when they come here.
Yeah, so when you come on a tour, you'll probably start off in the number 4 prison, which was the native male prison, as they call it. And this is probably the most horrendous prison, where people were stripped naked, where there was, you know, they'll take you to the story of food and how people were discriminated in terms of food, and what black men were given in order to build them up so that they could be hired out as labor and brought back. You know, there's examples of the Tausa, which is where men were stripped naked and they were told to do this dance, which is called the Tausa. And one of the drum photographers actually went up onto that building that we see in the distance, which was the nurses' home, and sneaked in there and managed to get pictures of this. So that's the only way we have a record of what people actually went through in that space. And then the women's jail, where both black and white women were incarcerated, but on separate sides. And, you know, in 76, when they brought all the youth of 76 in, they actually built these shacks within the women's jail. So what we see as the lawn, where we often have beautiful events and we celebrate, that used to be the yards for the jail. You know, one yard used to be called Winnie's yard, because she was on that side and she kind of managed that side, and the other one was Fatima's jail and she managed that side. You know, but little kids were incarcerated in this place. The women prisoners talk about at nights how they couldn't bear the fact that they could hear these kids crying. And then obviously the fort, which started off as a fort, became a prison, and eventually became the white male prisoner section. And the only black prisoner who was actually held there was Mandela. So you could go up there, you can see Mandela's cell. We've recreated his cell now so that you can actually go there and take a picture of yourself standing in Mandela's cell. So yeah, there's so much to see, and we've got restaurants on site, so you can go and have the restaurant. And obviously the red bus comes through how many times a day, so you can hop on, go around, come back. It's really an amazing day out for families to do this summer.
Dawn, hopefully more people will come through to just take in, the historical significance of the space. It really is full to the brim. And of course, as Dawn said, the red bus, the city sightseeing bus for Joburg stops here several times a day as I walk over, because we're going to take a tour on this particular bus through some parts of the city of Johannesburg as we follow the sun here on Morning Live. So hopefully we'll give you some ideas of what you can do this summer. But I'm joined now from the company that obviously runs this particular entity by Gaboile Gabodirwe, Sales and Marketing Executive at City Sightseeing Joburg. Thanks so much for coming through this morning.
Thank you for joining us, Sakina.
So we're going to hop on. How many routes are there for the red bus in Joburg?
In Johannesburg, we only have one route, and we've got 11 bus stops along the route. The buses are running 40 minutes apart. Whichever attraction you get off at, there'll be a bus there in 40 minutes.
Okay, so where does this start?
Normally, our tours start in Rosebank, 9 o'clock every morning, and then the buses follow each other every 40 minutes. From Rosebank, we go to Melrose Arch, where you can connect with our shuttle bus from Sandton. We do shuttles from some selected hotels in Sandton. Then you join the main bus that's on the route at Melrose Arch. From Melrose Arch, we go to Nelson Mandela Foundation. Nelson Mandela Foundation, it leads you here. And then from here, you can go to Gorrie City, Apartheid Museum, and then Braamfontein, Newtown, then back to the zoo and the military museum, then back to Rosebank. That's 11 bus stops in total.
All right. So what we're going to do is going to take the crew, get onto the bus. Our driver's standing there, so he's going to get on. And then we are going to follow the sun here in Johannesburg. And as I said, more throughout the country here with Morning Live. But this is where we're going to leave it for now as we hop onto the bus to follow the sun.